Well, welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. As the Hurricanes have defeated the Los Angeles Kings, sort of, by a 6-5 score. Hard to believe, isn't it? The way that game looked for pretty much 55 minutes. I know what the score said, but Carolina, I didn't think Carolina was any good. Well, I thought LA was good. I thought that it was one of those days. First day on the West Coast, who knows? Look, man, Carolina got off to such a good start. I thought it was going to be a totally different animal, but that's not what happened. And we're going to go through it quickly. It's way too late for anybody to be paying attention here. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hanlon Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy had his crew do a great job. I hope you would go check them out if you need any of your home improvement for your exteriors. Doesn't make sense, but they do at the Aluminum Company. So, what do we know about tonight? What do you want to talk about regarding tonight? Look, the Canes dominated the first 10 minutes, and then LA took over. And I know what the scoreline said. Somehow Carolina had a 5-2 lead when Teuvo Teravainen scored Carolina's second shorthanded goal of the night. And I never felt safe. You were just hoping that they could win it in regulation so we wouldn't have extra hockey. But my gosh, unbelievable. I thought about 10 minutes of Canes hockey. We didn't even see Freddie Anderson for like the first 5 minutes of the game. Carolina got the first power play. I thought the power play was awesome looking. It generated momentum. Carolina got the first goal. Then they went on the penalty kill. Sebastian Aho steals the puck from Kevin Fiala, takes it in. Shocker, 5-hole goal. I guess the shocker part is that it was a goal. And then I thought LA started to take the game over, which, I mean, they're at home. They're a good team. This team that made the playoffs the last 2 years. A lot of people don't remember that they were 2-1 up in the series on Edmonton, having won both of those games in overtime. And that was a series that they were right there. It's a good team. They've got some great, great players. They're as good down the middle as anybody in the West. When you go Kopitar, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Philip Deneau, I mean, that's as good a top three centers maybe as there is in the league. In terms of two-way centers, that's just awesome. But Carolina still had a 5-2 lead and just could not hold it. They had an opportunity to stretch it back out to a 2-goal lead, I think at 5-4. Sebastian Aho missed a shorthanded chance. Right? I think it was 5-4 when Aho missed the shorthanded chance just wide. But sometimes you just say, we got 2 points? And then in the shootout, I'm very scattered. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Then in the shootout, you have Sebastian Aho, who never even plays the shootout, is never in the top 3. He extended it. Then Marty Necas extended it in the 5th. And then Freddie Anderson allowed goals to, I forget who the first goal scorer was, but the second goal scorer was Trevor Moore. And then Necas equalized. And then Freddie just turned everybody aside. And it looked like the same shot over and over and over again. I thought I was watching a replay. So Tony DeAngelo had a chance. He missed. Michael Bunting hit the post. It was Bunting at the post. Brady Shea was denied. And then Jordan Martinook scores. All right. According to Charles, it was 5-3 with the Aho chance. I mean, okay. It was a stupid, stupid game. And Carolina gets 2 points. Maybe it's it's not your year yet. But look, they're good. They're going to give themselves a chance. I thought maybe the Trevor Moore is one that Freddie wants back. right? I mean, do you blame him on any of the other goals? I mean, should he have had the Drew Doughty goal, the slap shot from just above the left faceoff dot? Should he have had that? Looked like a good shot, screen in front. Could he have had any of the others other than the Trevor Moore shot off the faceoff on the power play? I don't know. I thought Freddie was pretty good, and he was obviously good in the shootout. Whatever is we went 9 innings in the shootout. He allowed just 2 goals. So, I mean, Freddie got one of my stars. I thought Teuvo Teravainen was very good tonight. But Jacob Slavin was very good tonight. Brent Burns was very good tonight. There wasn't a lot that was very good tonight other than that. I mean, I thought, they always give great effort, but this was not a great Carolina Hurricanes win. I don't believe Rod Brindamore is going to take this one and hang it in his office and say, "Hey, let's do it. Let's do that again." No, man, this was not a game I think that Rod liked. I thought there were so many good things that came out of the Ottawa game, and I'm just not sure there were as many good things that came out of this one. But maybe the good is that Freddie Anderson, when you needed him the most, was there. Made some big saves in the third period, believe it or not. And then the pad, getting the pad out in overtime as the puck looked like it was being redirected just inside the right post. And I think that was targeted for inside the post. Looked like Freddie, after a change direction, just got his left pad out and just got enough of it to make a difference. So, I mean, it was one of those days. It was just one of those days. If for some reason you people are here, I'll take some questions from you people, but my God, why are we awake? Why are we even awake? Look, to me, this game, there's nothing really to talk about with this game other than Carolina was fortunate to get 2 points. I said this on Twitter. I thought Carolina was fortunate to get 1. Like, that's the kind of game you go, my gosh, we were bad. We got it into overtime. Awesome. We got a point. Let's go. And I thought Carolina was they probably played their best hockey over the since the first 10 minutes of the game in the overtime. And I thought overtime was kind of even, but I didn't think any of the rest of the game was even. If you think about it, I'll use Natural Stat Trick as an example, right? And Natural Stat Trick, Carolina dominated the first 10 minutes of the game. And then the ice got tilted in front of them. So Carolina went from a 6-shot attempt edge in the first 10 minutes and finished minus 20 in all situations for the game. I'm sorry, I'm going to get that again. No, they had a bigger edge in the first 8 minutes. They had 12 more shot attempts than the LA Kings. And then they ended up the game minus 20 in shot attempts. Now, simple possession stat, right? Just Corsi for, Corsi against. But that just is an indication of how the game was played. And it is really a miracle that Carolina got 2 points. You want to use expected goals. Again, I'm on naturalstattrick.com. Expected goals for the game. LA, I'm going to round. LA 3, Carolina 2. That has nothing to do with the shootout. Expected goals for the game. LA 3, Carolina 2. It was 5-5. Frankly, I don't know how you get how LA doesn't have it. I guess the 2 goals that we talked about. The Drew Doughty slap shot and the Trevor Moore slap shot. That maybe they say those 2 goals shouldn't have gone in. But the others were all tap-ins, right? Kopitar had 2 tap-ins, and what was the other one? I'm drawing a blank on the other one, but it was just a dumb game. It was just a dumb game. Carolina ended up with 8 grade A scoring chances. 4 of them came in the first period, and I would argue that all 4 of them came in the first 6 minutes. They had great scoring chances on that first power play, didn't score. Then I don't even know if Brent Burns is a grade A scoring chance. When he scored, it was a great shot. Sebastian Ahos clearly was. But from that point on, the rest of the game, they had a total of 4. So it was just not a Carolina Hurricanes, vintage performance. But the difference in this team versus, versions of this team before Rod Brindamore is that we have no chance to win these games. It does speak to the level of ability. And think about Aho, who never goes in the shootout, to go third and then to equalize, which, frankly, I don't like almost coming to a dead stop, but who are we to judge when the puck goes in the net? And then Natchez, who I thought struggled for most of the night, comes up in the 5th and also equalizes. And Natchez's goal was beautiful. Natchez's goal was with speed and looked like that's the way it's supposed to be. But the Hurricanes are 2-0. And you know what they say. You can't go 82-0 without first going 2-0. Faceoffs were a mess for Carolina tonight. If it sounds to you like I don't believe they did anything well then you're correct. You are absolutely correct, because I don't think they did. Pierre-Luc Dubois scored in the top of the second. Burns and Teravainen were stopped. Aho scored. Jarvis was stopped. Natchez scored. D'Angelo, Bunting, Shea, all stopped. And then Jordan Martinook scored the shootout winner. Jordan Martinook scored the shootout winner. At some point, I think the referees are going to stop calling bad penalties. Tonight was an embarrassment, I thought. I didn't think the Kokoniemi penalty was legit. He committed a penalty. I don't think he did what they called him for, but I definitely believe he deserved to go to the penalty box. But when they called those, it was basically 4 penalties like machine gun style in the early part of the third period. You had the one on them, which wasn't a penalty, and then neither Aho's hold or the trip on Burns. I didn't think either of those were penalties. I just don't know what I think. Like I joked around with Rod Brindamore before the game. I think they're making stuff up. I mean, I know they're not, but the 2 holds they called, one on Pesce and the other on I'm trying to remember. Was it Martinook in the first game? Like, don't you actually have to hold the guy for it to be holding? It wasn't even attempted holding, and they called the penalty. I still don't know what they called on Sebastian Aho, even though they called him for holding. He never, ever, ever held anybody, and he couldn't believe it. But at this point, we should just believe it, because they keep calling him. So good for the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm going to go through some questions here. I like the fact that they went 12-6. I will like the fact that they went 12-6 better when one of the 12 is Andrei Svechnikov. I know Brendan Lemieux scored, and that's great. And I think it's cool that he scored against one of his former teams. But the Hurricanes are better. He's just. I think he is a. He's definitely a 13th forward. He plays a physical game. That's good. It's good to have at your disposal, but I don't like Brendan Lemieux playing all that much. And I also think that I'm not sure he adds enough to that line to get the most out of Jack Drury and Stefan Nason. I mean, these guys, like, that line needs to be a little bit of a point producing line for me. And I do think at some point when the Hurricanes get Svechnikov back, it'll be interesting to see who goes there. Like, I think if Rod had to do it today, he might put Jesper Foss there and put Teuvo Teravainen on the Stahl Martinook line. The problem is that line changes a little bit because Teuvo Teravainen doesn't do the things that Jesper Foss does. And I don't believe we can diminish Foss' impact on that line. So part of me wishes that it would be Drury, Nason, and a scorer. So whether it's Teravainen or Natchez, boom, right there. I think Teuvo's been one of Carolina's best 3 or 4 forwards in both games. I do. I think he's been great. And that guy should be playing in a top 6 role. But when Svechnikov comes back, where does Teuvo go? Does Teuvo stay where he is and Natchez drops down? And then if that happens, then Natchez, Drury, and Stefan Nason have to get more time, no? I mean, just thinking about it, it is exactly the problem that great teams have. I think I have sort of answered many of these questions without even knowing it. Let's see if we have anybody else. Defense was abysmal. I don't think defense was abysmal. I think they were abysmal. I guess unless you're talking about, this is Sam, unless you're talking about the team defense. I thought they were just slow today. After the first 10 minutes, I think they were just, that the Kings were just way faster than them. It just wasn't a lot. They just didn't have a lot to offer after the first 10 minutes. But they got away with it. So I haven't had a chance to hear Rod's postgame. For what it's worth, and I'll take you behind the curtain a little bit, we had massive technical difficulties right at the end of the game. So I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear Rod's postgame. I didn't hear any players' postgame. But I'm sure, I feel like I know what it's supposed to look like, and I didn't recognize it. But ultimately, I should probably shut up about it and just move on because the Hurricanes won the game. And if we're looking at positive things from tonight, Teravainen continues to play well. It's just 2 games, but last year was such a bad year. We were always waiting for it to happen for him, and it didn't. And we don't have to wait because it's happening. So without being Teuvo Teravainen is back, it does appear that the real Teuvo Teravainen is here. And the real Teuvo Teravainen is an outstanding player for what this team needs. And he's got to play 18, 19 minutes a night. Full stop. No joking at all. And I don't, for me, Natchez loses the time. I don't think you want Jarvis to play less. I think you want Jarvis to play all the shifts he is currently playing. Seth Jarvis going to get his points. Seth Jarvis is a complete player at this stage of the game. He can play both ends. He throws his body around. He is fearless. He's good with the puck. He's smart. So, and again, I would not at all be against Teravainen moving where Jarvis is and having Aho and Teravainen back together. As good as Aho and Jarvis were in the last 25 games of the season and in the playoffs, and I know Seth didn't score a lot, but Seth was playing well. I think Tava's got to play. I thought Tony DeAngelo was good tonight. I thought Tony made some pretty good defensive plays tonight. So, and I think what we're seeing from Dmitry Orlov is kind of a mixed bag. I think there are times he looks great, and there are times that he looks slow. And I think part of it is what Tripp was saying during the game, that it's going to take him a little time to get up to speed with how Carolina plays. Brent Burns was kind of feeling his way through it last year, and it took him a while to get there, but he obviously did. And I think Brent's going to have a monster offensive season, and his defense will be just what it was a year ago, which is very good. It's not spectacular. It doesn't have to be. He provides so many other things. But I thought he was good, and I really think Jacob Slavin was outstanding. So, yes, Will brings up a good point. Scored 5 in a bad game. I want to see a good night. Well, they have scored 5 in their each 5 each in their first 2 games. But if we are being honest, and we should, put yourself in the position of an Ottawa Senators fan, and 2 or 3 of those goals were trash. And now put yourself in the position of the LA Kings fan. Okay, the Burns goal is good. The Aho goal, breakaway. The Kokoniemi goal cannot go in. Probably don't want to give up the Brendan Lemieux goal. Good shot, but you don't want to give that goal up. And the Teravainen goal, probably a little far out to be acceptable. But I think Carolina has played 2 mediocre goaltenders. So Carolina has had the better goalie in both games. They win one 5-3. They win the other one 6-5 in a shootout. And I think there's a reason why Freddie Anderson was brought back. 2-year deal, too, for Freddie. Remember that. Was not just a 1-year deal like Antti Ranta. So I think that's basically the difference in Carolina being 2-0 and Carolina maybe being, I don't know. I thought the Hurricanes were better than Ottawa. It was a sloppy game, but I thought the Hurricanes were better. But they were not better than the LA Kings tonight. So, Akaniak thinks Aho's shootout move was sick. It made me sick because it was too slow. Like, he scored, so we can't, I'm not going to complain about it. But Eric Cole told me this. If you come in wide, if you skate out towards the wall and then come across with speed, the goaltender has to open up. Otherwise, you're just going to score wide side. Every time. Has to open up. And then it becomes, can you beat him between the pads? What Aho did was not that. Just wasn't that. And I don't even know if Cole was a great shootout guy. Really not sure. I have to go look at it. But I think speed is what you want. And sometimes I think Sebastian just kind of overthinks it. I think Tripp was right. I think Sebastian overthought the second breakaway, which would have been a second shorthanded goal. But there you go. Sam also says, I'm a bit surprised we didn't see Slavin in a shootout. You could have sent Slavin out there over Jordan Martinook, the goal-scoring machine of Jordan Martinook. Holy cow. Unbelievable. All right. We'll get a couple of more questions in here, and then we'll get out of here because frankly, it's 2:26. Yeah, according to Charles, Rod wasn't happy, played bad, happy with 2 points. Yeah, because that's really what happened. That's really what happened. So Andrei Strechnikov, very nice. What happened to Necas's puck handling? I think for the most part it's there, but there are times it isn't. And it could also be ice related, right? I think who was it? Was it Aho that said the ice was bad this morning? Or maybe that Aho felt bad this morning. So it is what it is. They'll be better against Anaheim tomorrow. My guess is we're going to see Antti Ranta tomorrow against the Ducks. I don't think Carolina will go back to 11-7. Although they played better at 11-7 than they did tonight. We'll see what Rod does tomorrow. I wouldn't be totally surprised if we went back to 11-7 and put Jalen Chatfield back on the ice. But it is what it is. Hey, let me throw this out. Because I know that there are some people that get mad when Rod puts a lot of defensemen on the ice in the shootout. And I totally understand based on what most teams do. Most teams use one defenseman and two forwards. And Carolina, for a good chunk of the overtime, had two defensemen out there together. But when you have defensemen who skate the way Carolina's defensemen skate, and who are also offensive-minded like Carolina's defensemen are, I just don't have a problem with it. So you started the overtime with Stahl, Slavin, and Burns. Slavin and Burns are outstanding skaters. Stahl wins the faceoff, gets off the ice, and you have Aho. And I thought that was probably the best sequence of the overtime for Carolina. They did have some chances, and Brett Pesce had a follow-up chance that I think was a save, but it might have just been shot wide. But I just don't have a problem with the personnel decisions. I know there are people who feel very strongly about it and think that it's idiotic. But I think you put your best offensive players on the ice and your best skaters on the ice. And the way Slavin skates and Burns skates and D'Angelo skates and Shea skates. Pesce's not a great skater, but Pesce's a super smart defender. So he can go out there. I don't think he gets a ton of overtime, of 3-on-3 time, but they're just good skaters and they're smart players and they're good offensively. So those are the guys who should be out there. It would be one thing. I mean, I don't think we're sending Martinook and Faust out there. We're not sending Stefan Nason, who's not a great skater, obviously a good offensive player, but we're not sending him out there. We're not sending Jack Drury out there. We didn't send Brendan Lemieux out there. So I think Rod's got it right. It doesn't matter if you're a forward or defenseman. Do you have a good offensive idea, and can you skate? And I think the answer to basically everybody puts out there is, yeah, of course. Of course. All right. We'll see Ronta tomorrow. I don't know what Rod's going to do with the lineup. And Andrei's not ready to come back. Remember, Andrei's not even on the trip. So that'll do it. So that was fun. I appreciate will we see Svetch by December? You're going to see Svetch probably by the end of October. Charles, come on. Andrei's close. Andrei's very close. They're going to play it. They're going to slow play it. But you'll see Andrei before the end of the month. I'm almost sure. I'll be. They need 2 practices. They need Andrei to go through 2 practices out of the yellow jersey, and I think he'll be fine. We will do do this again tomorrow. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Charles works second shift at the airport. I love late games. Well, you're going to love the next week and a half. Tomorrow's not really a late game. It's an 8:30 start. Tuesday, 10:30 in San Jose, right? Thursday, 10 o'clock in Seattle. Gosh, I'm tired just thinking about it. Aluminumcompany.com. Go check them out online. Free no obligation estimate there. Sammy and his crew do a great job. Until tomorrow, I'll have my bearings by then. So I apologize for being all over the map after what we saw in the game tonight. I think Carolina will play a much better game tomorrow and probably lose. They'll probably play their best game of the first month, and they'll lose. Yeah, maybe not. All right, everybody. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow.